Good morning, everyone. It's Yvonne here to do your What's Cracking reading. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all your beautiful comments. Thank you for those who've gone over to my other channel to do the star sign readings. If you are interested in following me there, the link is in the box below. We're going to use the Cosmic Tarot to do your reading this morning, apparently. So see, I come in and I always pick up a deck and I don't even remember picking up the deck half the time. I have to actually look, so I'm a little oblivious. What else is there? I don't think there's anything else. We have no more fairs till Christmas. I'm still doing personal readings. If you're interested in a personal reading with me, best to go and book it yourself at www.theaussiegoddess.com. But I don't mind you emailing me if you're not sure which reading is best for you. Don't go paying for an hour if you only want to ask a couple of questions. Not that we waste the time, but I just feel sometimes people might want to sort of grab the most time, but it may not be necessary. So if you're unsure, write to me. All right, I think that's everything. I'll be doing the Aries reading over on the other channel today. If you're an Aries and want to hear that reading, let's get into it. Okay, we're starting off with the Nine of Wands. Now, just lately, I've been getting a lot of messages for people around repeating patterns. I feel like, you know, some of us have gone through this over time and other people are just starting that journey. So sometimes when people say things to me, it's very obvious that they're repeating a pattern, but they haven't actually seen it yet. You know, I hear things like, oh, this person reminds me of my ex, or this person's just turned out like my ex. And the other day I saw a post on Facebook. My saying is, you keep meeting the same person with a different face. And something else was posted like that. So I know that there are a lot of people going through these changes at this time. A lot of people also understanding that to do with that cycling that you're doing are the things around your people pleasing, your trauma responses. But I'm really glad that people are becoming so much more aware of these when they're young, like some others of you on here, and I know who you are. You know, my journey was quite late into self-discovery. I felt like I'd done a lot of work. I felt like I had got a lot together. But it probably wasn't really until my late 40s till I started to really understand why. And for other people now, I have people who are coming to me in their early 20s and already working that out. So kudos to you. I feel like somehow we're just becoming a lot more enlightened as people. So when I see the Nine of Wands, something's telling me that you're going around in circles. When you go round in circles, you get hurt and pain each time, but you tend to ignore it, or you tend to sort of take it on board, especially if you've got those sort of trauma responses where you sort of take the blame on yourself, and you don't look to what you're doing externally to see what you're doing differently. You know, I have people say to me all the time, I start these relationships and people always leave me behind. I can't have a good relationship because the men I meet aren't interested in commitment. See, those sort of things you need to have a look at yourself for. It's okay to blame the other person because, you know, probably they have their issues and problems too. But if you're repeating that, then you need to look at, why is it that this is happening to me? Very often it's nothing bad. Nobody's making any judgments. But very often it's because we don't value ourselves. Or we people please. We keep giving in and doing things their way because we think that's the right way to behave, and they get bored. They don't see the challenge in the relationship. So whatever it is here for you, and it could be happening even in your work. Like if you're one of those people who goes from job to job, maybe you always find you're bullied. There has to come a point when you take responsibility and say, what is it about me that I am presenting with that's giving these people the opportunity to push me around. So let's have a look. So that's the Nine of Wands. Okay, and interestingly enough, it is the work card that's coming up next. The Eight of Pentacles is often seen as the work card. It really is about putting work into something. It doesn't necessarily always mean a workplace. But what I see here is maybe you've understood a pattern. Maybe you've seen it for yourself here and you're starting to understand it. You know, like there is one thing that, you know, I'm a great believer in understanding about yourself. If you are repeating patterns in relationship, your job, your family, whatever it is for you, even your friendships, once you start to become more spiritually aligned, you start to let go of things anyway. Why? Because you start to see things. You become the observer in your own life and you start to see things for what they actually are. So you start to look at people and think, yeah, you're not really interested in me as a person. I'm here to benefit you in some other way. Interesting enough, it happened to me some time ago, and it then happened to somebody else that I was working with, and I was able to sort of give her insight because of what happened to me. So if you've got a friendship where you're always doing everything for the other person, or you're always remembering their birthdays, giving them gifts, handing things over, and they never do the same thing back, you've got a problem. That's already a problem. Things should be reciprocal regardless. And I feel like doing it once or twice might be something you can sort of, you know, ignore. But if it's becoming a pattern, then it's not worth ignoring. So, okay, so I feel like here you're working on something, you're recognizing something here, and you're going out into the world with this brand new idea of who you are. It might mean from here on inwards, you're not going to put up with other people's meanness, nastiness, whatever it happens to be, but you're definitely taking some sort of leap of faith here towards the 10 of Cups. So whatever you've discovered about yourself, whatever you're working on, I want to say to you that this is going to lead to much greater things. It's about you really recognizing why people take advantage of you, for example. It's no good saying people always take advantage of me, or my life is always unhappy, or where's my happiness? Because you need to take a good look at what you're doing. Maybe there's something about yourself where you feel that you don't deserve it, and therefore you're making something normal by dismissing the problem. The problem lies within. You are maybe you're not seeing it for yourself at this point. Maybe something will be shown to you, especially with this sort of energy coming through here. But whatever it is, you're letting it go, you're working on that, and you're moving into new times. And it's going to bring you a lot of happiness. All right. Okay, so we have the Princess of Pentacles coming through. You know, I can't help thinking, this is what this makes me feel. You know, when you've gone through something, and I'm pretty sure they do it in the AA program, where you ask for forgiveness from people because, you know, you've been doing something for such a long time and probably created a lot of pain for others. And one part of the AA program, the 10 steps, I'm pretty sure is to ask for forgiveness or ask people to forgive you for what you've done. And it's part of the progress you're making. You know, sometimes we can be, you know, unfair or cruel to people without actually realizing it until later on. I don't know, sometimes we can do it without actually realizing. Sometimes I can be quite direct, and sometimes I say things without actually realizing what I've said. And when somebody's come back to me later and said, but you said this, I think, oh my goodness, that sounded so awful and I did not mean it that way. I was just trying to be direct. Happened all the time in my emails. I had to really learn to present. I'm very assertive. I'm not aggressive, but some people take that to heart. So I have to be reminded every now and again that I'm being very direct. But I feel like with this Princess of Pentacles, you're going on some sort of journey here to talk to people about perhaps getting feedback on who you are. That's what it sort of feels like to me. You know how, you know, you can ask others, how do I come across? Or you can ask others to see you do something and tell me what you think. I think it's okay to get feedback like that. I'm a strong advocate for feedback, and I love to get feedback as long as it helps me grow. If you're, you know, somebody's giving you feedback that is just mean or nasty, that's not feedback. Feedback is there to help you change or grow what you need to grow. It's not other people's opinions. That's a different story. So if somebody says to you, you know what, Yvonne, you could do this way and that would be really good, I would take that on board and think, well, okay, maybe I should try it that way. Maybe there's something in that. But if somebody says to me something like, I don't like the content you're putting forward, well, that's not really feedback. That's your opinion. So learn to know the difference. All right, so we have the 5 of Pentacles with the Judgment card and the Chariot. You know, I've seen a lot of major arcanas this week, and it is really powerful when you get a lot of major arcanas in readings. There's like a second opportunity at something coming towards you. And I feel like because you've been through this before, it's like if you want this the next time around, if you want to move forward on something that has perhaps held you back in the past, then you might have to change the way you approach it. There is forward movement after a second chance, another opportunity. So for example, if this is a job and you got to go back to the same workplace and they offered you another job, this time you're going back with this, I want to say, coat of arms. That's what's coming in here. So it's almost like you are preparing yourself to face a battle, but in a very different way to what you've done it before. And you know, some people think that being strong is not being vulnerable, but actually being strong is being incredibly wonderful, because you're walking in and you're saying, well, I don't mind what you throw at me this time, because this time around I'm going to see it for what it is and I'm going to work with that. I don't need to run away anymore. And this is what's happening. And maybe you've been running from yourself in the past. Maybe that's why that card's coming through. But I feel like somehow or another you're standing up for an opportunity coming your way, but you're doing it in a very different way here. And maybe you're sort of letting go of a lot of the guilt and shame that you've had through doing things in the past a certain way. 3 of Swords coming through with the 7 of Swords. Look, and the 5 of Swords. Look at all those swords. It's really interesting because they add up here. 3 and 7, 10, 15. 5 and 1 is 6. And the 6 of Swords tells me you're moving away from something. So, what I feel like's happening here is you're self-sabotaging, or you've been self-sabotaging. Now, sometimes people say, what do you mean by self-sabotaging? Well, sometimes, you know, especially in regards to love, like this is a really good one. And I said to somebody yesterday, always look up what sort of attachment you have. Go and do an attachment quiz and find out why you're repeating things in relationships. It's really important to understand why you are perhaps going through a pattern of repeating, because sometimes we self-sabotage. So what we do is we go, this person's really wonderful. I'm falling madly in love with them. But what happens if they leave me? What happens if they see me for who I am? What happens if they go again just like the last person? So you cut it off. You walk away. Some people see that as a commitment phobia. I guess in its way it is. But it's more likely you have what they call an anxious attachment, which is that pull-push attachment. So you want to be in a relationship, you desperately want to be with somebody, but at the end of the day, you are fearful that they may see you for something that you are rather than being true to who you are. Working through trust problems is a really good one too. You know, understanding what your trust issues are and working through them. So I feel like here you have been self-sabotaging in the past, and it's like you're being given an opportunity to do things differently. So if you repeat a work pattern, for example, maybe understanding why people are taking advantage of you at work and making sure if you're going to move on to another job that you do things differently, or that you change what you're doing in your current job. There's a lot of people in jobs who hand stuff to other people that is their responsibility and bully them into doing it, but take the glory for what they're doing. That can be another one I've seen too. So I feel like you're learning that you've been self-sabotaging. And wow, okay, so we're finishing out a cycle at the end of this reading. So I feel like you're seeing something differently. I love here that you are learning how to appreciate who you are as a person. I feel like you're really learning that your value is as important as other people. If people have manipulated you to think that you are less than them and you've got to act for them, then you're already in a people-pleasing situation, or even codependency, which is a much more, I guess, modern saying for people-pleasing. You may be avoiding conflict, for example. So ask yourself what sort of conflict will come up if you stick up for yourself. Because very often, if you stand up for yourself, people don't come back at you. They leave you alone. They fear conflict too. Nobody wants the conflict. So here I see you closing out a circle with this Ten of Swords. So let's just have a quick look. It's a really nice reading. All right, so we've got the Nine of Wands. So I feel like you're recognizing some sort of pattern and working on it here. Whatever it is for you, you're taking a leap of faith at your Ten of Cups. So you might be taking a leap of faith into a new relationship after realizing that because of this repeating pattern, that maybe somehow or another that there's something that you're doing. Now, it's not that you're doing anything bad. You're just doing what you were taught to do. You know, people pleasing comes from having parents who teach you that you have to put them first. And then it becomes a habit and you go out into the world and think everybody needs to be put first. And you don't consider yourself. So some of these things are like learned or role modeled to you. But it is a trauma response. It's because you want to avoid getting into trouble. Ask yourself, I always do, what is the worst that can happen here? What is the worst that can happen if I say something here? Because very often, if you go to speak up, people will back straight back down again. They just think you're easy prey. So there's a cycle being finished up with the Ten of Swords. I feel like here with this King of Cups and the Four of Wands is that you're starting to love and understand yourself better and build a more healthy foundation for yourself. Okay, so we have the Seven of Pentacles with the Fool again and the Eight of Pentacles. Wow. And I did shuffle them for quite some time, so it's really interesting. This is a leap of faith that you're taking here. You're manifesting a brand new beginning. Whatever it is here, you're manifesting a new beginning. But you see, because of this sort of energy of working on yourself or putting in the energy into you, this is a brand new beginning. So you're leaving this old habit or situation behind. Whatever it is for you, you're casting it off. You're shedding. All right, we've had a big reading today. Let's read you an oracle card. All right, flexible. Isn't that interesting? Let's have a look and see what that says. Not sure how that relates, but they always surprise me. This is teachability. Open-mindedness, being adaptable without compromising what's important. A tree roots are solidly planted in the ground, yet its branches can bend in a hurricane, whereas a rigid structure like a building would come crashing down. Consider how the tree remains supple and secure when everything around it may be in shambles. This is how you need to be now, willing to learn new things, teachable, malleable, yet firmly grounded in who you are. Common sense is important, but so is an open mind. Stay curious, stay open, stay aware at this time, and then others will be more flexible with you too. There you go. Beautiful topping for the reading. Thank you.